Hello there, Jose Rodriguez here again. Not too long ago I read a frantic post from an R2000 owner from Epson who stated that all of a sudden a couple of his ink channels were not printing at all. And I thought, wow, what could be the case? Well, immediately I always assume that people are using original cards. So I just told him to check that. Make sure you run a nozzle check, all of that good stuff. Initial basic troubleshooting methods. After a lot of teeth pulling, he told me that he is refilling cartridges and that he refilled one of them and basically that channel stopped printing. In other words, it was totally blank on the nozzle check. Well, what could that be? Well, with OEM cards, that hardly ever happens because the cartridges are very well designed. Of course, every once in a while, very rare, but every once in a while, a dud will sneak through the assembly line and the QA. And yeah, it could be an OEM card that is actually not feeding ink. But on an Epson printer, you're lucky because it actually can handle printing with no ink in the printhead without burning out the printhead, unlike a Canon printer. So I said, well, if you are refilling, make sure that you are properly priming your card. Did you prime the card originally? Yes, I did, but it ran dry. I immediately knew it ran dry. So basically that priming chamber now is nothing but an air-filled chamber rather than an ink-filled chamber. So that is it. That is the reason, guys, when you are using refillable cards for any Epson type printer, not Canons, they use sponges. Epson type printers, they all have a priming chamber. Some of them are auto priming, okay? But some of them have to be manually primed. And when you initially refill a brand new refillable card, you have to do that priming process. And that might involve a bit of vacuum filling, and I cover that in some of my videos. And there's a lot of the demonstrations on YouTube about how to do that. The problem is you cannot ever let those cartridges run dry. You cannot wait until they are declared empty because often there's a discrepancy between what the chip reports and what is actually in your cartridge. You may have ink indicated by the chip, but the card is running dry. And if it gets to the point where the liquid ink holding areas of the card are empty and the only thing that has ink is that priming chamber, you will then empty that priming chamber. Then you will go and refill that card and the priming chamber will be dry, will not have any ink at all. You will have to reprime it. And the only way to reprime it is to seal the bottom of the card with something. I use blue tack. I set the card right on top. I put that exit port right there. Then I insert a syringe empty on the fill port and I pull back a little bit and I let go. That immediately charges the priming chamber back up with ink, and then I top it off and it should be good to go at that point. So keep that in mind. If you are using refillables on your Epson type printers, make sure that you do not let them go dry. Okay, you will have to reprime them. They will show up as printing totally blank on your nozzle check. That is it. All right, I hope that helps. And remember that because it's a very common mistake people make and it will just cost you tons of headaches trying to figure out what the hell is going on. It is not a clog. Your printhead is not all of a sudden clogged. 100%. How could that be? That's impossible. It's not going to happen that way. All right, so make sure that you never run your cards dry. Always top them off before. In fact, I like to top mine off when they reach about mid-level. Yes, that way there will always be ink regardless of whether the chip is declared empty. And some of the cards have to reach empty in order for them to be able to be reset. So that's the danger here. Auto reset chips must reach empty, then they can be reset by taking the card out, filling it, putting it back on. That disruption of power will reset your chip. But if the card is already empty before the chip is declared empty, then you have trouble. All right, that's it. Very simple. Don't let that happen. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.